of A Gamer's Guide to Productivity. Today, we have the pleasure of diving into a world of diverse interests and intellectual pursuits with our extraordinary guest, Osborne Ncube, or known as Ozzy. Ozzy is not your average gamer. He's a multifaceted individual with a broad spectrum of passions, ranging from religion, politics, anime, masculinity. Hailing from Nottingham, United Kingdom, a whole pond throw away on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, he brings a wealth of knowledge that extends far beyond just the gaming realm. Join us as we explore this intersection between gaming, productivity, as well as just good old anime talk with his unique insights across all these various domains. Get ready for a captivating conversation and let's level up together. Everybody, give me a warm welcome for Ozzy. Thank you so much for being here today, Ozzy.
That was a beautiful introduction. I like your introductions, man. I've watched a few of your videos. They're really good.
Hey, I try to do my absolute best to recognize gamers and the contribution to society that you and I are bringing. And the first thing I want to ask is, since you like gaming and you like anime, which one have you dived more into? AKA, which one have you been much more of a fan of, as well as which one have you allocated more of your free time to?
That's a wow. That's a good question, actually. It's a really good question because pretty much done them all at the same around the same time. Well, I'd say more into gaming more than anime because I've played games pretty much my entire life. So I could remember from my earliest memory from playing the early stages of RuneScape all the way till now, where I'm
Oh,
just
you was
weirdly
about that
obsessed with
RuneScape
both of
life?
them. Yeah, I was about that RuneScape life. Yeah, it was either that
Hey, I
or it
played that
was
too.
nice, nice, nice. Well, what character are you?
All right, so that was like the second multiplayer game I played, and that's honestly where I got the Nico Penguin name was from Club Penguin on miniclip.com. And because I played, I think it was maybe an adventurer and then a mage. So I played both of those characters.
I think I was trying. I was obsessed with getting like number one rank on that game, and I
Oh,
remember one
for
time I
real?
just yeah, I was obsessed with doing it, but I've never been able to do it. My friend, for some reason, was incredible. Just every game he touches was just always getting what is it,
You got
99
a
on
friend like
everything.
that too?
Yeah, I hate him. I
Same. He's so
I hate how good
talented.
he is at everything.
And he don't even
I try,
try.
they really don't. I even tried managing him at one point during I don't know if you know the game CS:GO, Counter Strike Go.
Yeah, that's where he was top like 5% or 3%, barely
Yeah,
trying.
yeah, he was genuinely that good. He was playing in like I forgot what it was actually called. I think it was called ESO or something like that, where all the professionals just go in to just mess around and play with like no professionals, and you
Oh,
would
wow.
making them sweat the entire time.
Damn.
So yeah, at one point I was just trying to manage him, and then I just had this. I'm pretty sure that's when I actually started having the whole idea of being more into business and mixing gaming together. So yeah, as I said, gaming has been involved in my life pretty much everywhere from university to making my own games to YouTube to now. Uh, Anime, on the other hand, I remember the first anime I ever watched was well, everyone's first anime was Pokemon, but the proper first anime was probably Naruto. I watched, what was it? I think it was the Zabuza arc when Kakashi was just pretending to be killed or something, and then he just kind of spawns back, and then there's this whole clash going on. I was just obsessed from that point on. Found some illegal websites here and there in order to watch as much anime as I could, and then I just went binging
Yeah.
all the way through that, and just grew up on that. And every once in a while, I just try to mix it to gaming and anime. But I still haven't found that nice perfect mix.
So what are your top 5 anime and top 5 video games?
Uh, Top five anime. top five anime, like just animation, or do you involve manga in this? Because it's a whole different list if you involve manga.
Oh, see. I'm a mangaka above anime, but everybody's
Yeah.
anime. So if you have separate lists for mangas, then you got to add that too.
Tell you what, I'll do top five manga and then top five anime because I don't think it's fair. Because when I say top five manga, I'm talking about number one. It's a toss sometimes, but it has to be. Mm, it has to be Berserk. It has to be like my number one. It has to be Berserk. The usual what everyone goes through. Number two, Vagabond. Number three, Vinland Saga. If you haven't read Vinland Saga, generally just go read that. Number four, I'd have to go with maybe Death Note, the manga over the anime. Actually, not Death Note. Sorry, FMA, the manga, not the anime.
Which one?
And then FMA Brotherhood in the anime. And then number
Full Metal
five.
Alchemist.
Yeah. And then number, I'm just listing off generics now that people already know. I'm trying to think of something that'll just be on edge. I guess in terms of an adventure anime or manga, I think One Piece is above just pretty much everything. In terms of storytelling and stuff, of course, Berserk, Vagabond, Vinland Saga, all those ones are way above everything else. Uh, five, number five. I'll go with the manhwa actually. Uh, I mean, well, if you like manga, you must have had manhwas as well, like the Korean mangas. I'll go
Which
with
one?
what is it called? Ah, got the name of it. I just read it as well. Just to describe it, the guy gets reincarnated as like it's like this a king gets reincarnated as like a mage, and then he just goes through that life, and then he's basically just overpowered as hell throughout the whole show. I actually forgot what it's called now. I read so much manga sometimes, like I don't even remember the names. I thought it was really good, but clearly not good enough to even remember the name of. But in terms of games, top five games, number one by far is Spec Ops: The Line. Now, I've had really good reason why Spec Ops: The Line. I think it's got one of the
Mm.
greatest stories, the greatest way to make a game almost challenge you mentally because you don't even know if it's true what he's saying half the time. But and that's pretty much what got me into actually making games because I always wanted to make a game like that, a game that could challenge a player on a really psychological level. Number two would have to be suspects RuneScape, I guess, only because of nostalgia. I love RuneScape as a kid, man. I
Yeah.
don't think I can go back to it now, but yeah, I played for it for years upon years. And then number three is Daughter, Defense of the Ancients. I saw that you like League, so I'm kind of your enemy at that point.
No,
But
listen, I started on Dota. It's just League is way easier. To me, it is so much easier.
it,
I kept getting crushed. I had no chance in Dota. I promise you, I tried for like 15 hours. I just kept trying and trying, and I would just keep getting crushed. And then I tried one time, and then I was like, hey, I can beat other people. Oh, this is the game for me.
nah, but League, I've tried League. I find it a bit easy to like above door. I don't really play door anymore
That's
because
what
it's
I'm
that much.
saying. It's easy.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. But that's the thing. I like games that just challenge me to the point where I'm like I have to either be good or just stop playing. I mean
I want to
CS:GO.
win. I'm competitive.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean I'm compared to in a way like I like things that are difficult that I'll chase after. I think strangely enough
Mm,
that's what gives me my mindset now because of gaming. Like because I like things that are difficult and I
mm,
like to push forward to finish them. And everything else in my life, from gym to well to the book which I'm about to publish soon, to the games that I'm making, to the YouTube, to the social medias, and to my actual work and everything. like I'm just always trying to push myself as hard as possible. Like I mean, I'm even trying the whole sleeping like 4 hours a day type thing, which is working out well so far. But I wouldn't recommend it to everyone unless you've been one of them people who can stay up for like 40 hours or something. Which I could only see gamers being the only people who are able to do that, who are
Wait,
able to do that. Now, okay, continue there. But what are you thinking?
now is that the version? Is that the version that you sleep like once every 3 to 4 hours for like 1 hour, or is
Stream seems to be frozen. I'm sure you'll rejoin in a second. If I'm still on stream, hello.
we're back?
Ah, there we go. Yeah.
Okay, we're
Last
back.
thing I heard you say is that the version when you sleep for, and then it just kind of
Yeah, I
cut
was
off from
asking
there.
you what version of sleep 4 hours, where is that the one that you sleep once every 3 to 4 hours, like 4 times a day? Was that just the one where you sleep only 4 hours and like you take a lot of deep breathing through your nose to like get you really, really ready to go to sleep?
Oh no, it's just fully deep sleep. The well, close to the second version. However, I tend not to do that. I don't know how, but my body's just like used to. The second I know I've finished my daily tasks, I
Hmm.
just get extremely tired and then just pass out for 4 hours, and then I'll just wake up
Okay.
and I'm like, time to go. Like no matter what, it even happened on New Year's, which is strange enough because I was out drinking and I was thinking, I've already messed up my New Year's. I won't be able to go gym in the morning or anything. I woke up 4 hours later and I was still fine enough to go gym. I was a bit hungover, but I was still able to just continue the day as if like my body's just completely used to the idea more than sleeping for 8, 9 hours. Sometimes I do pass out for 8, 9 hours if I'm not feeling well or anything, but that's like a once in a while situation.
Okay, so respect. And so, since you came on board, I did want to give you the opportunity to promote yourself and any upcoming projects that you have, whether it's any books, any videos, any projects where people can go and support you, as well as where they can go to financially support you or follow you, all that good stuff.
Okay, cheers for that. Well, honestly, I would love to promote absolutely everything that I'm doing, but I think that would last about the next 6 hours because I'll just be rambling on about one piece of item each time. So if anyone is interested in what I'm saying, interested in my journey and everything that's involved, you can just follow me on my YouTube. That's where the base of everything that I do is. And from there on, you can either download some of my games, or you can follow me on my book journey as well, or even my gym stuff, which is mostly posted on either TikTok, Instagram, or X. A stupid name, by the way. But yeah, if you're interested in me, what I do, then just YouTube, really.
Perfect, perfect. And bringing it back. So you do web design or game design, or what genres of gaming do you do? What do you create that uh, you know, that you have to offer to others, and what made you get into that?
I make games. I just make full mobile games at the moment. I will update or upgrade to Steam, Unreal
Mm.
Engine, Xbox, PlayStation once I have a large enough audience, and that's more of a that's more of a selfish understanding because I understand the gaming world is, how do I put this in a nice way? The gaming world is very strict, shall I say? So if you go into this world being an indie developer and try to make your games big and try to go to publisher, they'll, in lack of better words, they'll bully you into making them do exactly what they want, and then what you think
Mhm.
your vision is going to be, it's not going to be anything that you want. But if you come in there with a solid audience, a solid character, and what you can actually bring to the table to any publishers or anything involved, then you have a more balanced standing. So I want to obviously build my socials more as like a family, really. The whole Ascension brand together into one. That's why I always post all this gym stuff and stuff. So then people can just see that I'm not just someone's just gonna make games, post them out and just say, pay me, I don't know, 5 quid or something. And then walk
Right.
away from that. I just want people to see that, oh, I'm someone who's actually trying really hard and they can relate to that. They can relate to the journey. And if you're following that strong, which if I were to bring it back, just like Taylor Swift's following, look how powerful Taylor Swift's following is. She can
Mhm.
tell the labels to store her name to fuck off in lack of better words, and then she can thing it, and then she can come back and redistribute her own songs and somehow outsell. By the way, I don't like Taylor Swift. I'm just respecting her as a really good businesswoman.
Right, right.
That is all. And she can come back and do that because she built a really strong core audience from like since she was a kid and being authentic to herself and actually showing step by step on how she made it to the top helped her quite a lot, which is what I'm doing now. So when I do make it to the top, I have standing. And the games I make, mobile games. One of the games, Paradox Lullaby, it is a dungeon crawler with guns. Basically, you just shoot through a whole dungeons. There's dungeon bosses and everything in the game. The next game will be Cyber Chase, which is a speed run. Sorry, what is it called? Infinite Run.
Right, yeah.
Such, yeah, Endless Runner.
Infinite
That's it.
Runner. Yep.
It's an Endless Runner. Honestly, I just made that game just to show like what skills I can do in the more design basis because Genuine is probably the most beautiful game I've ever made, but it's not the most technologically interesting game. It's just an endless runner. There's not much you can do onto that field. And the newest game which I just made, which just got submitted into open testing, is Primal Plan, which is based around Squid Games and Fall Guys. And it's a game where you just simply complete challenges and rewards, and you push through level by level. And obviously, after the open testing is finished, the full game should be out sometime in the next few months. And then I've got my book coming out in April, I believe. It's gonna be out on a lot of platforms, but that's like I said, if you follow me on YouTube, it's a lot easier to navigate along all that. But
And
yeah, after
so
all that rambling, I forgot what your question was.
no, 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 it's okay. I'll bring it back to you, don't worry. So regarding the games that you make, what made you get into those creation games? I know you said that you like games, but to like games so much to want to create and then have somebody else use your creation is a completely different thing. So what made you get into the technical behind the scenes side of game creation, and what made you choose mobile to start over the other already confirmed console gaming as mentioned?
Okay. Um, well, I'll answer that second part first because a lot easier. For mobile, it's a lot easier to actually gain a larger audience on mobile because well, not everyone, but a large majority of people in the first world, some in the second world, and some in the third world have a mobile phone. So they can access games a lot easier. Why I chose mobile? Well, that's the simple reason because it's got the most accessibility throughout anything else. But for actual gamers for Steam and stuff, it would be easier for me to get a lot more downloads on Steam. However, I wouldn't have
Mm,
a core audience, and I'm still learning, even though I've been doing this for years now. I'm still learning how to make games, not only games that I like when making them, but games who I think other people like in a more business minded, in a more business centered way than in a gamer centered way who just, I want this in a game, I want that in a game, I want this in a game without actually thinking what people would like. So until I can maximize on that, I don't think it's wise for me to go straight to Steam, because on Steam you really have one chance. They'll promote your game as hard as possible on that first game. But if you fail to capture the audience's core at that point, you just kind of you will fumble. Unless you're a AAA studio, you will fumble. Look at how many indie games have made it onto Steam, but you never hear the creator's second game or
right,
continuation of that first game unless they hit
right.
it and are continuous in that field. But what got me into this field right here? Oh, it's Spec Ops. Strangely enough, it really is Spec
Mm,
Ops. Like I played that game and I was like, I genuinely want to know how to make this game. I was already doing
mm.
software engineering. I think when I played it, I was in uni at the time. I already was doing software engineering. I was already obsessed with games, anyways. So I just kept thinking, how do I make something like this? I liked software engineering, but I was like, nah, it's not cutting it. So I went back into college. Well, uni and college are a bit different. I'm sure you know, everyone already knows. In UK, there's university and there's college, which are two different institutes. You need to go through
Yes.
college to go through uni.
Mhm.
So I went back
Right,
to
right, right.
college to do game design, and
Mm.
at that point, I just knew I just wanted to make a game like Spec Ops, and that's still my goal in a way. But I've got two goals. The book that's coming out is, well, it will be a book series, and I want to make that into an RPG. But to make that, I'll need a pretty decent team who also have a kind of similar mindset
Right.
to me, because I don't want just anyone to make something that, you know, well, you've wrote books. I've seen your books. By the way, they're very interesting. Especially that sci-fi one's really interesting. I'll listen
Yes.
to the sample, and I was like, wow, this guy's diverse. He does everything at this point. Wow.
No, not create games. That's not in my realm of expertise. That's a completely different beast.
Yeah, it's just it'll be. I personally think it'll be easier if I was just a programmer who just programs games and then continue on. But for some reason, because I've got that, okay, well, you watch anime. If for some reason I've got that egoist mindset, I really do. I
Right.
just have that egoist mindset where I genuinely just want to be better than anyone. And because I want to be better than
Right.
anyone, I'm constantly. It's hard for me to actually find a team that can work at the same pace as me on the stuff that I want to make. I did have a team on Paradox Lullaby, and they even admitted that I'm a bit of an intense person when it comes to making games, because I'll spend 20 hours a day if I'm not working. I'm also a social worker by day, by the way. So if I'm not working at like my day job, all I'm doing is just making games. And because all I'm doing is just making
Mhm.
games, it's kind of hard for people to be able to keep up with that. And it took a while for me to actually understand that most people don't actually think like that. I thought everyone can. I thought anyone can just stand up and just do just do it if they want it. But now I kind of understand most people either don't want to or they can't. And I'm kind of falling on to they just don't want to put in the time and effort
Yes. You also
into
gotta
this.
remember that your project is not gonna be seen in the same way as they see it. They're gonna see it as work, and you wouldn't want to do social work for 20 hours a day kind of thing. So they're taking up a project with their skill set, and they're not going to have that same level of dedication. But at the same time, that's typically why you get a whole team of individuals. Like, you might just have to have like a team that works around the clock, so that way when somebody gets off, somebody else picks up where they got left off. I don't know anything about game designs, clearly, and you're like, that's not gonna work. I don't know. I'm just saying that, not everybody's gonna be as dedicated to your personal project as you, unless you eventually meet somebody who truly wants to be your true super fan. that super fan that will learn coding or whatever your game needs, they'll go above and beyond, maybe even more hardcore than you. You never know unless you run into one, but until then, you have to be your own super fan and you have to, just put in the work. Now, I did want to ask you, since you are going into the gaming creation, you like anime, you clearly have the aptitude to create. How do you decide which is a storyline for any of your books or any of your games? Because you have all this vast array of different stories that you can grab some inspiration from.
I use my book as example. I write the ending first, and if the
Mm.
ending hits, then I go backwards from there. Because yeah, I could write the beginning, then it just kind of just falls off if you write the beginning. But if you know the ending, if you know exactly the moment where it's gonna go, you can just start tracing back from there. And in my head, I'll just run through all that when making games and stuff. I'm like, how's this game gonna end? How do I track it back from the beginning? And when writing books, well, when writing this book, it's not out yet, so I'm kind of hyping myself up, saying, "Oh, this book's gonna be great and stuff," because it's just something you kind of do in it, like because
You
it's
gotta
your
do
project.
it.
I think most of the stuff that I actually do is kind of shit. To be fair, like I don't think it's at AAA level. That's why I always want to do more and more and make it as amazing as possible.
Hmm.
But that's not something I can judge. Other people have to judge out for me. To be fair, but that's it really. I just do the ending first and then track back from the beginning. If I can get to the beginning of something in my head, just run like the what is it, the five core stages of any project, and it's
Hmm.
shit, I'll just drop it and just move on to something else. Because if it doesn't hit those things, then there's no point making it. You can't make something terrible good if you know it's terrible in your head, it,
Mm.
unless you're Superman or something. How do you do
Or
it then?
unless
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna say, or in that case, what you come up with is not on the same level that you originally thought of it, but yet that level is still above your peers. And so you might have a perfectionist mindset when it comes to that, and yet let's say it's like that saying where it's like you shoot for the stars but land on the moon. You might have such a perfectionist mindset where it's like you got to get better, you got to do this better, got to look better, got to run smoother, got to do all this, and by always consistently being on that perfectionist mindset, you eventually start becoming better than everybody else who thinks, oh, what I did was good enough. Whereas, when you're thinking like this is not good enough, I can dedicate a little bit more time, more focus, more this, more that. So that way, when I launch this project, this initiative, it's as I see it. And if it's not anywhere near that, you're gonna think, ah, it was a flop, it was a failure. It was supposed to move 100 units, it only moved 30 units or whatever. But relative to anybody else who has like the same specs as you, they might only be moving 5 units or 2 units. And so you might be feeling down like, oh, I was expecting a little bit more sales, or I was expecting more individuals to comment, to get engaged with me, but yet that engagement that they provided you could be way better than your peers, and you'll never know unless you reach out to somebody and you be ask them, hey, how what are your numbers look like, how are you doing, fiscally. Then it becomes easier to gauge like, oh, well, then what did you do to get so much if they had more? And if they have less than you, like, whoa, I would expect that your kind of quality would do more financially speaking. And that's where just all this amazing information starts to come from, is from having that collaboration with others. And that's where you can start figuring out like, whoa, like, okay, mine doesn't look that good, but I'm actually moving more units than that one that looks like it's moving way more. And you'll never be aware of that until you actually start moving into the marketplace and start making actual sales. That's when you can start figuring out like, okay, what am I doing that's not helping, or what are they doing that's making everything look good but it's not actually doing so good. Because then you got to think, if somebody's making less money than you but they look flashier than you, whereas yours doesn't look as flashy but you're getting much more of a momentum, wouldn't you think that might be something that you'd be like, you know what, that's not that hard of a compromise. Like, I'll take lesser
Ah, I understand. One second, I think it's breaking up again. Oh, am I back?
Yep, I can hear you.
Ah, perfect. I heard
Yes.
all the stuff, by the way. That was that pretty much. I agree with pretty much every single point you just made there. Like, really, I can't really think of what to add beyond that, except on the bit, always a perfectionist mindset. Just to roll back on gaming again, like that whole perfectionist mindset is truly just built through gaming. If you really think about it, like we
Yeah.
played RuneScape, we played League and everything,
Yeah.
you can't progress on those games unless you are a perfectionist type of person. You can't in League.
Pretty
I've played a
much.
little bit of League, so I can't give a good enough example, but I can give an example on Dota.
It's like
If
the
you
same
don't,
thing.
yeah, it's the same thing. So there's let's say a character like Sniper. A character like Sniper is extremely simple character. You just shoot straight, you OT once in a while, and that's it. If you don't know how to use like little micro movements, little micro management on your mouse and everything, you won't be able to progress past like the first few levels, or past like the
Right.
first few before you get outdone by pretty much everyone else. So that's where that perfectionist mindset comes from. It comes from gaming. Like every single gamer who actually competitively plays has that perfectionist mindset. They just kind of, I feel like they're kind of held back by laziness.
Mm.
If they took out that bit of laziness, I guarantee any gamer who genuinely plays games rule this world, easily will rule this world. Because we don't need sleep. We don't sleep, but if we focus on just tasks that are more productive than just playing games, you realize like we've basically
Right.
just been building this mindset for our entire lives. Example, Deji. Deji, absolutely probably the worst boxer I've ever seen in my life. How did he change? Because they started training him in a way that a gamer would. They started giving him like Tekken examples on how to train and everything. And look how much he changed. Just because he transformed the idea of okay, if I want to level up this way, I have to do this and that. And it makes it simpler for people to learn like that when the gamers. It makes it simpler for them to achieve things in that way.
Yeah, it's like when you decide to focus your time on something in the real world, you're building a skill tree. And I told this to one of my friends. If you think about it, we're smart enough. Every 1 hour you focus on an activity, it's like you're putting in a skill tree point. I don't know if you ever played games like Path of Exile, where you have to actually like select a skill point to go into that skill tree. And most people think like, well, yeah, if I get a skill point, I should go to the next level. Well, in Path of Exile and other games that have skill trees, that you usually need two, three, four, or 5 points in a skill area to then go to the next level. That could mean 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours or more in one specific area of focus before you go from beginner to advanced. That could be as simple as like coding one liners. Oh, I got from beginner to advanced. Now, from coding one liners, now it's two liners and then three liners, and like every single step requires such a vast amount of hours, and we're so readily able to dedicate that when it comes to games. But when it comes to real world, we forget like, yeah, after level 1 you need 80 experience to go to level 2, and then you need 300 experience to go to level 3, and it requires more time, more energy, more focus, and more dedication into that specific skill that we're trying to get better at over a long period of time. And that's why a lot of people get they don't know how to delay the gratification. Like they just want to see an instant, visual like replica, like, okay, this is where my skill is at. And that's why they get disheartened, like, oh man, I'm trying. It's like it's been 2 weeks. Like, people try in 2 years and they still aren't as successful. And yet in like 2 weeks of you trying, you're doing better than other people. And that's what makes me think of that.
I yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Especially the delayed gratification thing, which is crazy to actually think about because as gamers, we build on delayed gratification. You don't just finish a game and then you're happy. You have to go through the absolute pain. Have you ever played what's the newest one? Elden Ring. A lot of people are complaining about Elden Ring. It's too hard, it's too
Oh,
difficult.
the Black Souls. Oof.
Yeah, Black
I
Souls.
tried that
And I'm
2
like,
times. Man. Oof.
have you played Dark Souls? Like that is a difficult game.
Oh, Dark
So
Souls. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
yeah,
you
it's
would like
painful.
that with the challenge.
Yeah, it's actually painful. But yeah, that whole idea of delayed gratification. I played Dark Souls. I was terrible at first, but because of my weird obsessive mindset, this is why I don't smoke, by the way, because I swear I have an addictive personality or something. Anything I just stick my hands in, I'm just on it
Felt
like
that.
nonstop. So I have to be careful. I have to if I'm gonna be have an addictive personality, I have to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
with
Focus
positive.
on productivity. Get
Yeah,
addicted to productivity. Exactly.
yeah,
I felt
exactly.
that.
That's the only way to go about it. But playing Dark Souls, I knew no matter how hard I was failing and stuff, if I just kept progressing little by little by little by little, I was gonna win. I was gonna finish this game. I was gonna beat the boss. I was gonna win. It took me a long. It's probably the longest game I played until obviously CS:GO and Dota and everything. And just pushing through that little by little, I just knew at the end it's gonna be worth it. And to translate that to real life, if people actually thought like that, if people just sat down and thought, okay, I've got no money. I'm broke. I'm working in a low income job. I'm in a country that doesn't really support the average working man, which is unfortunately a lot of countries in the first world. Well, it
Right.
shouldn't be, but it is. The average working man does not get any good good way. But at the same time, the average working man, if they had the idea of delayed gratification, they would know that if I just keep chipping at it, if I just keep getting more information, if I just keep going, I know it's hard.
Right.
It's going to get harder and harder. That's what's part of it. It's going to get harder and harder. That's why people can just give up. That's why New Year's resolutions only last about a month because people start giving up after a month because it's starting to get a little bit difficult. But if you keep pushing beyond that point, at some point, no matter how hard gravity is pushing you down, or God is pushing you down, or whatever you believe in is pushing you down, eventually you just cut straight through and you just start flying off. And then that's it, really. That's what I learned from gaming, anyways. As long as you just keep going, as long as something is worth it in the end, if you keep going, you will succeed. One way or another, you will succeed. There's nothing in this world where it will say you will always be a failure, you always fail, you always be at the bottom of the rat. You only accept that when you accept mediocrity, when you accept being someone who's willing to do the bare minimum to live a bare minimum life. And I truly do believe that.
Man, that's so inspiring. That makes me want to go back to the lab and start cooking up some new projects. Like those words are giving me goosebumps of inspiration that really is making me think, oh, I need to start going back to my productivity bag. Like that was very enriching. And and for somebody that is now trying those 4 hours of sleep and increasing your productivity and because you're focusing more and whatnot, what techniques or tactics or ways do you stay focused instead of just using your waking hours, just scrolling through Instagram, Twitter, or gaming away? What enables you to actually make use of your waking hours and be productive as you're trying to be?
Let me see. Well, the first thing I do in the day, no matter what, is to just write what I'm going to do in that day. Whether you're writing on
Mm,
your phone, on a paper, or anything, it's just the idea of writing into the world would make it visible. If you want to actually push it far enough, you can just start vlogging in the morning and just say, "This is what I'm doing today." And now if you don't do it, you just look like a dumbass because you just failed at all your tests. I wouldn't say
Definitely.
go that far when you're starting off. I'll say just write down on a journal, in a book, whatever it is you're gonna do. Just say these are the things. I don't. There's no hours. There's no. I'm doing this at 9 because I've seen videos like that where it's just like you wake up at 6 in the morning, you take a cold shower, and
Yeah.
then you just go for a run. I'm like, what? It sounds ridiculous. I take cold showers because I gym a lot, so I need to be able to like relax my muscles and stuff. But for someone who's not doing like them things that require you to have cold showers, you don't need to. You can just wake up. Just set yourself a time in the morning and just say like,
Right, right.
okay, I'm gonna wake up at 7. Like the first week, that's your whole goal. That's your entire thing. Just I'm going to wake up at 7 every day. Whatever you do at that point doesn't actually matter. What you need to do is just trust in yourself and just say, like, these are the things I'm going to do. And once you start believing, once you start trusting your own words to yourself, you can start adding on to that. So now I'm going to wake up at 7. Today I'm going to achieve this, this, and that, and this. And that's the thing, though, because your mind will just keep trying to go back to like the basics, go back to like, oh, I'm just gonna go back to just playing games, I don't know, smoking weed or something. I'm just gonna go back to the comfortable life because your brain likes
Right.
comfort. No matter what it is, your brain will always go to comfort. Your brain doesn't like exercising all the time because it doesn't think it needs to. It doesn't like eating healthy food because it tastes like shit. It does. No one can no one can
No,
convince me.
that's true.
Yeah. Your brain will always go to the sweets, to the laziness, to the Netflix, to the games and everything. But if you just keep pushing, I'm gonna complete this test today. You first few weeks, you probably sleep at like 3 a.m. or something, or 4 a.m. But then if you wake up at 7, because you already made that rule in your head, I'm waking up at 7, no
Mhm.
matter what day it is, whether I'm working a day job or it's a weekend or whatever, I'm waking up at 7. I went out to a night out, now I fucked that, I'm waking up at 7. It's because you made that rule. Your brain already knows that that's a rule. No matter what, he's gonna wake up at 7 and just gotta get out of bed and just gotta start his day. So first few weeks, you're gonna just sleep at like dumb hours, 4, 5 in the morning, because you're trying to complete this test. Remember, throughout the day, and you're just being lazy, you get distracted in there. But eventually, it's like it starts chemically changing to the point where it makes you focus. It genuinely just makes you focus on your work first. Like
Right.
you want to play games and everything, you want to do all these things on the side, but then you're like, yeah, but I've got this to do. Then I'll play some
Right.
games, and because it doesn't want to be tired. Your brain doesn't want to be tired at the end of the day, and it knows no matter what it does, no matter how much it distracts you, you're just gonna keep staying awake and then waking up early, which you just be drowsy and exhausted. You feel like shit the whole time. So you're kind of punishing yourself for taking so long, and because you're punishing yourself for taking so long, you start prioritizing eating the frog. I think that's a quote. When you eat something horrible first, and then you eat the nice thing afterwards. You start eating the frog first and getting that out the way as quick as possible, so then you can just enjoy your life at that point. I never understood the idea of, oh no, I'm never gonna play games again or watch anime or anything. Of course you can. You just need to be able to optimize your time.
Mm.
Know that you're doing all these things first, no matter what. Whether these things finish at 1 a.m. and you only get maybe an hour to play games before you have to go sleep. That's it. If you want to do it more faster, then guess what? You just have to bear. And then eventually you just stop being so addicted. I don't want to say the word addicted, but it's true. You stop being so addicted to the idea of just simply playing games as your gratification, because now you get gratification from doing other tasks. And then once in a while, when you do play games, like what I'm doing now, when I play games, I like FIFA. I never in my life liked FIFA. I hated it. I hated the idea.
Really? I love FIFA.
I never liked FIFA. I never did. I like football. I like watching football quite a lot. It's like well, I'm British, so it's like, it's our sport. So we love it a
Me
lot.
me too.
Yeah. But we love football. But I hated FIFA just on the idea of it's the same game every year, no matter what. It's the exact same game.
Ah,
Maybe it's a
yeah,
little bit
very
better,
true.
but it's the exact same game. I like FIFA now because when I distress, when I'm chilling and relaxing, I turn on a few games of FIFA for like an hour or two, and I'm genuinely enjoying it. I'm enjoying it more than before. If I went back on Dota now, I'll probably enjoy it a lot more because I'm now generally just more entertaining. I have like that childhood entertainment factor in me now when playing games more than before when it was simply the only thing that would keep me entertained, the only thing that would keep me my dopamine levels. The only thing that would release my dopamine was games and well everything, really porn and everything.
Right.
But now now it's like reset to I love my work so much I want to do that. Now I can distress and play games and I genuinely just enjoy them a lot more.
That's interesting. And since you're in the United Kingdom, what polarizing thoughts do you have on politics, or was the politics in regards to universal worldwide politics?
Plus, like I have a I didn't know we wanted to do like a 6 hour live stream, but
Hey, try to summarize it because we still got 2 to 3 more topics. You're multifaceted. We're trying to keep it nice and light so that way you can come for part 2 and 3 and 4. You know what I'm saying?
that sound. Okay, I'll keep it simple. UK politics. I don't know how much is actually showed in America, but UK politics is a
Not at all.
complete mess. It's a complete mess. And let me tell you what, our prime minister, we didn't even vote for him. He just kind of
Ooh,
appeared one day, and that's our prime minister now. We don't
interesting.
because in UK politics, you vote for the party that's going to go into power. You don't vote
Right,
for
right.
the individual. And because you vote for the party, now if the leader of that party, which you're originally thinking, oh, that person is going to help us, kind of just fucks off. Guess what? Another person will come in. We've had three prime ministers in the past since COVID, which is just unusual. That's like if in America every year you get a new president.
Right, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's it. And now our prime minister that we didn't vote for doesn't want to come out of power. So we don't we're kind of trying to force an election. So that completely it's over the top. It's
Is this
generally just an
within the
over the
law?
top situation. It's really not as advertised because well we're going through a lot. We're going through there's no name for it, but it's basically just a depression right now because an economic depression right now because well everything is very bipolar. It's like the rich are getting way richer than ever
Hmm.
before. I'm pretty sure that's because of Brexit, but some people argue not. I would argue so, but like you said, there's part two and part three coming up. So, for yeah, some arguments there. And then obviously the poor are getting poorer and poorer because, well, incomes are staying the same, or if they're rising, only rising by 10, 15, 20p, which is basically nothing, whilst everything else is rising by a lot. I'm pretty sure housing went from like about 75 grand for an average house in the UK to about
Hmm.
2 to 300 grand for an average house in UK, whilst income is still staying at the same levels and taxes are still about 22% for working class and then 40% for middle class. But yeah, about 40%. And then upper class and beyond, they, well, they know their ways. They know their ways how to get out of it, which I respect a lot. To be fair, because if you know how to play the system, you know how to play the system. I can't fault you for that. You played the game well. Unfortunately, that kind of messed up everyone else. That's a main downside. In politics in terms of America, mm, from our side, from our perspective, I don't know what went through everyone's mind to put Biden in charge of just anything. To be fair, I don't. He's I get you wanted Trump out, but he kind of did a good job, like in your country from our perspective. I don't know from the internals. Obviously, from the internals, it's completely different from the outside perspective. From outside perspective, he wasn't liked. No one liked him, but he was doing the job as he was supposed to do it.
Mm.
It was one of those things. I personally, I don't like him. It sounds weird. He's got very little hands. I don't understand. Sound like it.
Ah! Excuse
But
me.
but in terms of someone who can actually do their job well, he did his job very well compared to Biden now. And was it Bush? Sorry, it's Obama beforehand who
Hmm.
was very celebrated for a while until Well, he did. He kept the status quo, shall we say? Beyond anything else, it didn't really change much towards, well, probably mostly because towards the black community. Strange enough, Trump changed more towards the black community than Obama, which I don't even understand how that happened. Again, I don't. I don't know. Your country's politics is very entertaining. I don't know how to say that. It's very interesting. Ours is all over the place, complete mess. I'm
That's
not
what
even
happens when you
very
put
good.
them on TV. They're all over the place.
Yeah. Yours is extremely entertaining. I don't. I've tried to actually follow how laws are made in your country because in my mind, because UK can make the law. That's it. UK, all three countries in the UK, that is the law.
Hmm.
Wales, sorry, not Wales, Ireland or Scotland can try to argue, we shouldn't have this law, and they'll make adjustments. But the core of the law is that is a law. In America, it seems as though each state can make its own laws separate to the American laws. Because in some states you can, like, you're not allowed to have abortions. In other states you can, but in the whole wild country, in the rest of the country, you're allowed to have abortions. It's like, what? How do you even? How do you even do anything there? Like, who do you vote for? What do you do? Like, the whole voting thing is a thing. But around, I, truly, we all know how it works. If voting mattered, normal people wouldn't be allowed to vote. Let's be honest. If voting actually mattered, normal people would not ever be allowed to vote. Voting is just a thing to make people stay, feeling like they're contributing. But it's whoever's got the most money is going to get their way. In every country, this ain't America. I mean, in every single country, that's how it works. So if you've got the power and money, you're gonna get your own way, one way or another. Whether people vote this way or that way, it doesn't really matter. It looks nice on paper, though. That
Looks nice on paper and looks good in the pictures on Instagram and on TV and in the news. Looks
yeah,
very pretty. Looks formal and official, so to
yeah,
speak.
of course. But everyone that plays the one game, everyone is. I think I had this from like an old friend of mine. Not really a friend, just like this. Well, he was an old friend. It was a person while I was doing care, like for a bit. I did care for a short time, about 2, 3 months. He said there's no point of voting because all you're doing is just changing the color of their tie. I was like, well,
Mm.
that's very true. I'm either voting for a blue tie or a red tie because they're gonna do the same thing one way or another.
Or you expect or hope, because some are competent and 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 smart enough, and others aren't. But like I said, that's for we'll go more in detail in future episodes. I did also want to touch base on a religion, because I did see in your profile for guests that you also have stances on that. And I also want to touch base a little bit, since we have a little bit of time, to see, do you have multiple religions, or what is it?
Yeah, I have a very, very complex view on religion. Well, it's not that complex. It's pretty simple. I, in the terms of an example of when an ant sees cities, they don't understand anything. When we see the universe, we also don't understand anything. We don't know what we are. We don't know where we're from. We don't even know if we're aliens or if we were created by God, Allah, for reincarnations from Buddha or anything. Anyone who says on basis this is the truth and this is false, I think they're kind of lying to themselves at that point because we don't understand. My sense of religion is I truly believe there is a creator. I cannot tell you which is the creator. I was baptized as a Catholic Christian. I do go to church quite a lot. I've read the Bible. I've dabbled in Buddhism a bit to understand the basis of that. I've dabbled in Judaism for a bit to understand the basis of that, and now I'm trying to learn a bit of the Muslim religion as well. But it's a lot more complex than you think because obviously their texts are like the purest.
Hmm.
It's the best I can say. Their texts have never been changed, so it's kind of hard to understand their religion from someone who doesn't speak Arabic.
Right.
So, so just from learning. from that, talking to people, being friends with pretty much everyone, even people who are adamant that they're atheists, which I believe they're only going to be atheists because of just in cases you don't want to think, oh, what if there was a god? I'm fucked in it. Like I've been talking shit about it the whole time. Well, my basis of religion, like I said, are complicated. Like I don't think any one religion can say this 100% the truth or this 100% the false. But I think they all have a decent standing on each other. I have a lot to touch on that from relationships and how they influence religion, how countries this loss of religion is actually the first step of how a society can fall.
Mm,
Because America, UK, Germany, all these countries gave up religion, and look how they're falling.
mm,
Our cross community is actually a push through the fact that there's no religion, or how the idea of like, well, how the idea of women can just sleep around as much as they want, even though they hold the power to life,
mhm,
is all thrown away because of lack of a religious background or a religious family that can show them that. I don't know who pushed this idea that women should just sleep around as much as they can because that will empower them. What empowers you is the fact that you can create life. And you shouldn't be giving that just to the anyone you feel like. That is incredible. I could make 1 billion games. I would never be able to create life. Do you know how crazy that is? And then
damn, that is crazy to think.
and somehow people are just like throwing that away to every single other man that they can find. And it's like, why? Why are you doing that to yourself? You're born with value. Every other man, they have to build value from the ground up. They have to climb a steep mountain to the top. You're at the top of the mountain sitting there and you're trying to roll back down for what reason? To feel empowered? You're already empowered. From there, you're born empowered. Why you don't feel empowered is because maybe you didn't have a, like I said, religious background. You didn't have a family that will tell you you are good, you're good enough. Trust in God, God knows the way, and then just follow you through that. And I believe that's the way it is. That's one of the main points why I disagree with Andrew Tate on that one, because if he wants to sleep around like 1 million girls and have like 50 kids and stuff like that. Me, I maybe two or three.
Oh no, we lost Osborne. Oh no, I think it was Andrew Tate was listening in and heard him. We're gonna give him a second. We're gonna give him a few seconds. Something ended up happening. He disagreed with something about Andrew Tate, and his feed got cut. So we're gonna give him a second. Please bear with. Like, comment, subscribe if you've been liking the episode so far. If you've been liking anything, if you have any questions, if you have any questions that you want to ask Osborne, feel free to also drop it in the chat wherever you're listening to this podcast stream, because I'm gonna try to get all these answers taken care of, or all these questions, excuse me, answered and taken care of, if we're able to get our guest back. And if I don't get a hold of your questions to the guest live, I'll be sure I can send him later. So that way, when I bring him back again, we can have those questions answered, especially on his viewpoints regarding a slew of different things that he is essentially interested in, things that he has conversed in, things that he brought up, things that were mentioned. I don't see that he is getting back here. I do see that I do have some more individuals that joined me on the stream. So if you really liked it, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Every engagement actually does help. It actually boosts my algorithmic ranking on anywhere, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, whether you're watching on Kick, Twitch, whether you're watching on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever it is that you eventually get to hear me speak. If you could please just like, comment, subscribe, drop a chat, check out the links in the description, just support me in any way, shape, and form. It costs $0 to support. Literally just $0. with one action that you take, that could be a very big difference maker. It could be a very big motivator for me to keep going and keep bringing in guests like Osborne. And of course, if you have suggestions for who should be on the podcast, feel free to share it directly with them. Like, hey, you need to get on this podcast, A Gamer's Guide to Productivity and whatnot. There's no shame. You don't have to tell me that you sent them to me, or you could send them to me. You could just put it in the chat, like, hey, I'm gonna go ask it at this channel to have a collaboration and whatnot. And if you're able to share that information with somebody else that would like that, that would be amazing, because I am trying to have the most engaging community that we can provide feedback to each other. You can give me critiques on the kind of guests that I'm bringing in, the kind of content that they're promoting, as well as the kind of questions that I'm asking and the responses that I'm giving, whether I'm interrupting too much, whether I'm not asking enough questions of the guest, all that good detail, good information I need from an interactive audience just like you. Because if you're watching now, you're already halfway through being an interactive audience member. All that's left is to drop a like, drop a chat, a comment, subscribe, and you automatically become an interactive audience member. That now it's almost as if you're a shareholder for a company where you already invested in some of your time. And I'm going to do my best to give you back tenfold the value you allowed me to have. All right. So I just want you to be aware that every action actually matters. It actually makes a huge difference. And I'm going to see if I can get Osborne back on. We're going to see. We're going to give this a couple of minutes, folks. This happens only when you're live, and it's perfectly okay. It's like one of the podcast episodes, as well as one of my blog articles about your adaptability. You have to be able to roll with the punches. All right, let's see here if we
Hello?
can. Yes, we can hear you on one of these. We're still live right now.
Are you?
We have not gone off the air. If
Yeah,
you
my
want to
phone.
continue it without the video, we can continue without video.
Yeah, my phone got fully kicked off. I was going off on one.
Man, you was on. I was like, this got to be Andrew Tate. He heard what you were saying about disagreeing with him, and he said, "I'm gonna shut that guy down." Boop.
ah, damn. I was fully in the zone as well. That's
That's
annoying.
what that's where we left off. You were saying that that's one of the things that you disagree with, like sleeping around, and that you want 2 to 3 or 4 kids, and that's where you got disconnected.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I was saying the idea of sleeping around. That's where I disagree with Trade in a way. By the way, I want to start off by saying I do. One sec, I'm getting an echo. There we go. I just want to say I do actually respect Andrew Tate quite a lot in terms of a businessman, in terms of someone who's willing to say what they kind of feel like saying without being
Hmm.
scared of being taken down. I mean, the man ended up in jail because of what he was saying, came back and still
Right.
said what he wanted to say. You
Whew,
cannot
that's tough.
disrespect that.
That's tough.
But in that term of being promiscuous and sleeping around with a million women, I'm not a millionaire, so I'm I've never had the opportunity of having pretty much every woman just throw themselves at me as much as possible. So I can only talk on the basis of I don't think it's a correct way to show your audience that this is like a way to conquer people and a way
Mm,
to get as like that's the way of life, being able to get a million women, fly aeroplanes and all this stuff that he likes to show off as much because he has a young audience, and even though he's enjoying his life, he's influencing them to make them think that they can act like him without actually
doing what he does. Nowadays, when you see his streams and stuff, it shows people exactly what he does, and it shows how much of a hardworking person he actually is
Right, right.
beyond the prosecute immunity and stuff. But at this point, everyone's now jumping around, going like, "Oh, well, we're not doing it anymore, but we're doing it at the time. We're going like, what color is your Bugatti? Get back in the kitchen, all that stuff," which then fueled the left. I'll call it the left. Do you call it the left?
The left, yeah.
Yeah. Which then fueled the left to make him think like he's just this degenerate man who just does whatever he feels like. But now that you've seen streams like the interview with him and Junko, is it Junko or Junko? Sorry, I get his name wrong all the time. The one who used to do a podcast with Logan Paul.
Hmm.
When you see him do it, you see him talk about uh, the Muslim culture, and then Junko's obviously talking about Christianity, and he does challenge him on the idea of why do you need 20, 30, 40 women to have all these kids when they can have one woman? Or if you really are that, I don't know, they're just extremely high sex drive, if you can find a way to have at most two women, you don't want more than two women. That's a lot of stress. But if you really want to go that hard and have two women, that's the maximum you really need in life. You need a good family. I am making jokes about two women, but you just in life, your whole goal is to generally just have a solid base, a solid family, and then grow from there and build your little world, because they can go on to do incredible things, but it all
Hmm.
starts at home. If you start showing your kids, if you start showing, especially your girls, because they're more, the girls are more able to just, what is it, like absorb what they see. So if they see their father being someone who just goes around sleeping out like 100 women and stuff, grows up in a divorced home and everything, well, she will instantly think as she grows up, ah, men are shit. Let's just let me just just sleep around with a million people because it's my body, my choice. I can do what I want. I can join OnlyFans, all this stuff, because they're just absorbing and feeling like they're great. But if they're that basis at home of a good father who taught them like, oh, you need to be respectable to other people and also respect yourself. Be prideful of yourself. Be prideful of your family name, and where you're from and everything. Trust me, these things won't be happening. For example, like African Asian women don't do this because they're prideful. They're prideful of where they're from. They know their value. They know they're very valuable people. And I think I think all women at basis are valuable, but they kind of lose their value by being promiscuous. And at the same time, I think all men kind of give up way too early, maybe because society is always just trashing them and throwing them into the ground. And then they don't really have a very stable home because something must have happened. Maybe their father was, I don't know, it could be anything really. Their father maybe didn't want to be in their life, or maybe was sent to prison, or anything. Anything could
Hmm.
happen, and they don't have that basis. And because they don't have that basis, and they don't have God as well to lead them in a way to teach them the basics of morality, the man just becomes scum at that point. It's like a mix of the two. Without religion, it just kind of crushes the society. That's the first way to destroy any society. And that's where,
No, that's true. That is true. That is the way that you destroy a society. And since we touch base on your introduction, who you are, where you come from, what things that you're doing, as mentioned, we're going to leave the deeper conversation for the next upcoming podcast interview. So thank you once again, Osborne, for joining us. That was an amazing, insightful episode of A Gamer's Guide to Productivity. A huge shout out to the one above and beyond on the other side of the pond in the United Kingdom, Osborne, for sharing his diverse knowledge and unique perspectives. So if you like the Ozzy, you like the information that he gave, please make sure to check out his channel in the link below. If you like this particular episode, make sure to like, comment. If you want to hear more, feel free to subscribe. If you know somebody would definitely like that or even disagree with some of the things that were said, make sure to send this episode to them. And remember, as gamers, productivity is not just about in-game achievements, but also about applying strategic thinking to every aspect of our lives. Until next time, keep gaming, keep growing, and keep leveling up your productivity in and out of the virtual world. Stay epic, gamers. It's Nico Penguin. I'm out.
Thank you for having me.